he took me outside at night, and he had one of these. This is a Centec infrared thermometer. You basically point it at something, it's got a laser, and it tells you the color temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit. So right now this screen is 73.4 degrees. So he says, let me show you something. It was a half moon outside, nice bright half moon, clear night, and the moon is shining down on the building, casting a shadow on the parking lot. So he tests the shadow, and it was like 40 degrees, let's say. He goes, now let me show you something else. Went a few feet over where the shadow had ended, and we're looking at direct moonlight, and it was 30 degrees.
The shade of the moon.
So that's the shade. And the shade is 39 degrees.
And then you go to the moonlight, and you got 32.
32.
Wow. Or 33, 32, 33.
Is it more dramatic when it gets darker?
It seems to be more dramatic when the moon is fullest.
So the moon, like a full moon,
Like the fullest
and a completely
moon,
dark
I'm getting
night.
Sometimes 12 degrees.
12 degrees. So
Yeah.
the more full the moon is, the cooler it is?
It seems to be.
It's a half moon right now.
I mean, don't ask me why, because I don't know. But I know it works every time.
I was talking with a gentleman from Belcom, and we were discussing the lie. Everything he was telling me was different from what we were being told was the truth. And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things. We lied about everything. None of it was true.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
Broadcasting straight to you from a large spaceship, currently transforming celebrities into flat Earth believers. Completed 2 so far. Who will be the next lucky winner? Stay tuned and find out. Hello everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure, thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, it's because it's buried underneath all that rapper B.O.B. stuff that's currently on the internet. Before we get to our special guest this evening, I'd like to do a quick shout out to the cookie people, which in this case did not send any cookies, but sent me a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's rattle them off really quickly. Flower Essences sent me a vial of flower essences, which is very, very cool. Laura Edens out of South Carolina sent me a handwritten copy of Bible verses that pertain to flat Earth, which is very, very great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I also got several T-shirts. This one is from Austin Moose. He sent me a men's canvas long sleeve raglan T-shirt with a custom flat Earth map on it. It's kind of like a baseball shirt, white with those blue sleeves. Thank you very much for that. And last but not least, I got a T-shirt. It's sort of like, I'll have to read the title real quick here, but it's from Dan Stawisky from the Flat Earth Cable Company out of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and he sent me a customized shirt, which I will wear on one of the video shows, probably with Patricia, and it's in Star Trek font, and it says "Space, the Final Frontier, ... still." which I thought was great. So let's bring in our special guest, which happens to be a sometimes former wingman and always really good friend, Jonathan from Jersey. How's it going, Jonathan?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm really excited.
Yeah, it was difficult to get to here tonight. I had to knock out this guy. He was wielding this, he called it a screwdriver or something, and I had to knock him out and steal his TARDIS to get myself here from the Delta sector.
Oh, right, because you came in from the Delta Quadrant.
Yes.
And for those of you really good sci-fi people, that is from Star Trek they mention it a lot in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Which, didn't really get great until like the last 2 seasons. I was like, yeah, it was kind of cool. So thank you, man, for stopping by, and good thing, because I need a sounding board and you need a sounding board, because there's stuff to talk about. So let me preface this, because I'll break down. I'll just kind of frame it for everybody, and that is, if you're in Flat Earth and have been hiding under a rock for the last 3 days. A lot has happened. In fact, a lot has happened since the last show. The big thing is, and which is why this video is called The Media Explosion, is that, and I'd heard rumors about this. I don't know if you and I had talked about it. We had heard rumors that, certain people in the entertainment industry were sort of, toying with the idea of Flat Earth. But rapper B.O.B., he came out and made a song called Flatline, which doesn't have anything to do with the when your heart stops and you go flatline in the hospital. Although he used that little sound effect in the track, but instead it was flatline, meaning the horizon line is flat. He is a pure flat earther, and he made this track, released it for free, from what I can tell, and aimed it squarely at Neil deGrasse Tyson. As a matter of fact, Neil deGrasse Tyson is featured in the song. He credits him in the song, where he takes that wonderful, it's one of those few clips that the Flat Earthers consider real controversial when it comes to Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he's talking at that university. And he says, "Oh yeah, by the way, the Earth isn't really a sphere; it's an oblate spheroid, and then it's pear-shaped."
Now, didn't we agree to call him Neil Debunker Tyson?
Or Neil Disgrace Tyson.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Bill Nye the Science Lie.
I like Neil Disgrace because it's close to DeGrasse.
Nice. Yeah. It's DeGrasse. It's not DeGracy. The E is not there.
Right.
But anyway, so he puts this thing out there. And it was, and a lot of, remember, you and I talked about this when we did the predictions for 2016. And I did this on our show. I did this on Patricia's show, where I said, look, there's going to be, I called it flat out. I got to cast up. Well, you know what? I'm going to keep saying it. Flat out. I called it, where I said a B-list celebrity. No, could he be considered A-list in the rap community? Yeah. I mean, he was nominated for a Grammy, for God's sakes. And that you don't just get, don't just throw those at everybody. Is he, a high level movie star? Is he, his career isn't, what I consider long and established enough to truly be called A-list, but it doesn't matter. A lot of people know who he is. And he comes out and does really what kind of Tila Tequila did, where he launches into a Twitter rant.
Right.
And he aims, and just calling out everything and, ties it in with the song, which he released. And what was interesting, I'd like your feedback on this. What I found more interesting than the rant itself, which everybody picked up on, was what really amped it up was less than 12 hours later, yesterday morning, Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets back and tries to shut him down. Doesn't call him, doesn't send him a private email, doesn't, have his people call my people and that sort of thing. No, he does it publicly on the internet. And it turns into a back and forth where neither side is going to back down.
Mm-hmm.
And it got amazing out there to where it's like I type in Flat Earth right now. I'm just going to type it into Bing, but you can use Yahoo or Google or whatever. I just happen to type it into Bing. And I mean, the first 50 hits are basically, it is the who. Here's Los Angeles Times 8 minutes ago, Yahoo News, Time Magazine, CNN, Fox, Esquire Magazine, MTV, VH1, ABC. It just goes on and on. Basically, in fact, I had a friend call me just before the show started.
Right.
I had a friend, remember the clinical psychologist friend of mine out in Indiana. And she goes, it literally was like 5 minutes before the show. She goes, "You're never going to guess what I'm looking at on my phone." And I go, "I don't know." I go, "What?" She goes, "It's on NPR." She goes, "Do you know anything about this rapper guy?" And
Wow.
I go, "Yeah, I do, because he keeps using some of my lines. He's used my thing where he said, do your own research and ask questions, which I say at the end of every clue. Yeah, I mean, of course he doesn't mention my name. He said that. I'm going, he's in. He's all the way in. And this thing, media explosion. Basically, if there's a media outlet, they are covering it.
No,
And-
we talked about this a year ago when we were on the onset of this, which was around February, right?
Yeah.
Exactly going down this path. And I said, we both said it would take about a year.
Yeah.
But once it goes mainstream, once that 100th monkey is set or the meme is, made the mainstream, there's really no stopping it now.
No, you can't. And we'll dive into this. We're going to spend the whole first segment kind of breaking this down.
Okay.
But it can't be stopped because what you and I are talking about, and that is the core material was laid down. Thick, everyone in the flat Earth community, a lot of videos were made. They got a decent hit count, and it was resonating with people. My stuff kind of acted as a flat Earth guide for, it was the intro you got people into the flat Earth. Eric's stuff was out there. Everybody that's in the flat Earth community, everybody participated. And once the core material was set out, it was only a matter of time before higher profile people, celebrities, we're gonna watch this. I mean, you saw Joe Rogan where he did 3 shows, mentioned it in 3 different shows, saying he was never going to do a show about flat Earth,
Sure.
which meant he was looking at it, and meant other people were looking at it but weren't going to talk about it. And then all it took was, and I'm not poking on Tila Tequila. I mean, she's not A, B, really, or C. You want to use the Kathy Griffin term, the D list. I mean, all she did was mention it, in a Twitter thing, and she got a lot of play. A lot of play, and B.O.B. followed the same track. He did a Twitter thing, and immediately, but the difference is that Neil deGrasse Tyson addressed it, and that I think is significant.
Well, not for nothing. He's been in the crosshairs every time we've mentioned him, so he's always been on the hot seat. And then you have all these failed missions or decommissioned missions and. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that do for him? What can he actually speak about? If we're not going into space, then how many lies can he tell, especially when so many people are coming on board with this? Somebody has to address it, and I don't know if he necessarily wants that position. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just that he's the most notable or whatever.
Oh, yeah. He's the front man. He's the face of science.
Well, I feel bad for him almost. I mean,
I know, because there is nobody else. If you were going to pick a replacement right now, who would you pick?
Right? You can't I mean, you could always defer back to some guy who's actually more technical, like an astronaut, right? And you can give him these great credentials like the Air Force guy you had on. I was listening. But you know what I'm saying? But it still wouldn't have the impact that, Neil deGrasse Tyson has a certain charisma. He really reaches out to every demographic. Yeah. And now it's unfortunate because he's kind of in a bind. Yeah. He can't throw his own people under the bus.
Nope.
Or if he did, with his his accreditation, and everything. Look, they can't smear the guy if he comes out as a whistleblower because
he is the guy,
right?
Yeah, there's nobody, honestly, who could. You only have 2 guys there. I mean, there's 3 guys in mainstream news that talk about science. There's Neil deGrasse Tyson, there's Bill Nye, and then I can't remember. Forgive me, I can't remember the Japanese guy's name with the gray hair.
The long gray hair. No, the guy from Columbia University.
He talked
Michio Kaku.
Something like that. Yeah, the guy that talked about Fukushima a lot.
Right.
Yeah, those 2 guys can't hold a candle to the stage presence of Neil deGrasse Tyson. So I almost think he's being put in a position of being the martyr.
Do you think they're going to play him as a sacrifice before he gets a chance to come out? I mean, again, if he comes out right now, right? Let's play best case, worst case scenario. Yeah. Say tomorrow he gives a press release and he comes out. What happens to him next? Does he get killed mysteriously, or what?
Well, that's just it. You can't kill him. I mean, you kill him, even the average man on the street, because you have no one to replace him with. There's no one that can step forward. Nobody knows who. It's kind of like the backup quarterback for Tom Brady.
But wait a minute. That guy who was doing the Antarctic journey supposedly died only 30 miles from his finish line.
Oh yeah, that story was interesting, wasn't it?
Right. We can address that later in the show. But I mean, killed him enough. So I mean, it's not like they can't make it look like an accident or anything else.
Yeah.
But and
Yeah,
then at that
it's
point, they
true.
wouldn't have to be accountable to anybody. They wouldn't have to put anybody out there as a mouthpiece.
Yeah, I suppose. But is anyone really going to believe that Neil deGrasse Tyson gets killed in a car wreck?
I don't know. Is he a good driver?
I don't. Does he drive his own car? I don't know. But I just can't. I can't see them sacrificing him just because. I feel bad if he's listening to this. But he's like, where are they? But am I in danger? What's going? No. I'm saying I don't think he can because there's literally no one to replace him because anyone that could replace him academically.
Wait. Is he in danger? Wait, when they sat him down for this position he's in as a a mouthpiece for this, they showed him the JFK Sabruder film. They showed him like who the actual assassins were, from the Navy standpoint. They showed him, you know what I'm saying?
Here's an alien head. Here's a spaceship.
Yeah, like they show him all those things. Say, all right, any questions? I think you got we have an understanding. Yes.
Okay. Let's keep going for a second here.
All right.
So it got even weirder though today because it's Tuesday now. Because and again, it happened very, very quick because Neil's nephew, I think what I say his name was Stephen or Steve. He said, well, we can't let this go. You've got a rap song dedicated against you. Therefore, we're going to do a rap song against this rapper. So, his nephew did a rap song and then Neil did, a little monologue. He wasn't singing or rapping or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But now we've got a rap battle happening. Honest to God, a rap battle happening between the world's foremost physicist, most popular physicist, and a Grammy-nominated rapper about the flat Earth. For real. This is actually happening.
No, wait a minute. Did ND? I can't say his name all the time. I want to say
just call him Neil.
Just Neil. Yeah, it's so hard to say his full name.
Yeah.
Did he watch like too many of those rap battles of the where they pair off people and think that he could actually rap?
Well, no. I don't think it was his choice. Again, I think they called him, well, let's go down the conspiracy road here. I think they called him, early Monday morning and they said, look, you got to address this thing now.
You know how that looked, by the way, when you said that? I had a visual in my head. Remember all the 70s films you ever watched? Even like, what was that movie, Airplane? The real funny one?
Yeah.
And they always wake up the guy and he turns on the lamp and there's his wife in bed and they're wearing pajamas. Like that was how it went down. It was like some obscure time, like 2:48 in the morning.
Yeah.
Neil gets a call and it's like, listen, you're not going to like this, but tomorrow we're going to pick you up and take you to the studio. You're going to have to sing a song. It's not for Sesame Street either. So just be ready.
Yeah. It's nuts. And it's happening as we speak. As you're listening to this show right now, whether it's live or even recorded, go into any search engine and type in flat Earth and look at the nightmare that is unfolding in the media world.
Yeah.
Because it's too interesting not to cover, which is what you and I talked about, which is, okay, so the conspiracy world covers it first. Then you get to the point where you introduce it somehow into mainstream. And this is pretty clever. I'll give them that. But then you got to go somewhere from here. And I had a couple theories on this because, as you know, there's a military saying, and that is, first time is happenstance, second time is coincidence, third time is enemy action. And I firmly believe that, and that is there's no such thing as a coincidence a second time, which means I think I was telling you the whole flat Earth thing, that trying to get into the mainstream was kind of like what?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
What happened?
I apologize.
What happened?
We're on air here live. I apologize, folks. My dog's like jumping up on my lap like she wants to go for a walk. She thinks I'm hanging out playing video games here. Sorry. It's been 3 weeks of video games not being on the show. Go ahead.
That's okay. So what I came up with was the wedding reception analogy, and that is nobody, when it comes to getting to the mainstream thing, and why more celebrities haven't jumped in on this is really if you've ever been to a wedding reception, nobody wants to be the first one on the dance floor because everybody, when you're the first one on the dance floor. I know David Weiss says, no, we go out first. It was because we want to look like idiots, because people look like idiots. Everyone's looking at them. It's like, oh, they're terrible. But then you go out because, they break the ice. And so that's what we were kind of waiting for. And sure enough, who's the perfect icebreaker, to start, usually some drunk person, for the wedding. And that's Tila Tequila. She comes out there, she dances badly. It's kind of awkward. People got to stare, but yeah, it's like, nah, I'm still not going out yet. So then this guy comes out, B.O.B., and he gets out there and everybody's watching him. And so it's the third person. Remember I said the third person is enemy action. That's who we're waiting for. And that is so now they've got the media's attention. It's like, oh, this is kind of like a car wreck. This is like a circus sideshow type of thing. Oh, it's interesting, but it's a one-off. The next celebrity that gets in here, I would imagine the next person is going to be slightly more credible. Nothing against a Grammy nominated rapper, but somebody else, somebody with a talk show, somebody with this, somebody with that. Once that person gets in there, then the media has to change gears, because then they're going to go, media is going to be like, wait. I thought it was just these two these two people. Who's this third? Why are we still talking about this exactly? Why, in fact, why are three people talking about this in the entertainment industry? Is this a real thing?
So you're saying somebody like Ellen DeGeneres or somebody big?
That might be a little high up. It's
too
got to
high?
it's got to be somebody that their agent wouldn't mind.
How about Abe Vigoda? He's still alive. Oh wait, I'm sorry. He died today.
No, oh, did he? That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Sorry, Abe.
Man,
I thought it would have been great if he.
Again, somebody who, because seriously, if you're an entertainer, if you're in the entertainment industry at all, I don't care what sect it is, if you see what he did here, Grammy Award winning rap or Grammy nominated rapper B.O.B. I hadn't really heard of him, but I don't really follow rap that much. But he gets some play on the news, sure, but he says flat Earth, and every media channel picks it up instantly and runs with it. His picture's everywhere now. And all he had to do was say 2 words. He didn't have to tweet that much. I mean, you can't buy that sort of publicity. And that's where entertainers are going to go, ooh, people are going to start, the wheels are going to start moving in their head. It's like, what can I do with this? And that's what the third person, that's what's going to change. And what I mean is, once that third person gets in there, or fourth, or whoever it is, how many people it is, because it could be more than one, it could turn into a horse race. Then the media has to go back and say, okay, forget about what they're saying. How are they saying this? Where did the idea come from? Where is the origin of this? And then they'll have to look at the backstory of flat Earth, not just, the 100-year backstory, but what's happened, in the last, honestly, 12 months. And that's where it gets really, really interesting, because then all these people in the media and, other people are going to be, start digesting all these videos at home, and it's going to get really, really interesting. And that's what I predict. I don't know if you agree, but
for the sake of the show, yes, I agree with you. 100%.
Well, that's where I think it'll go next. Now, if it's going to take a darker turn after that, that's where it gets interesting. And I think we can kind of look at that a little bit.
What are they going to possibly use to counter it with? Like X-Files? Like what? Like what could they use at that point if a celebrity comes out?
You don't counter it. You fake countering it.
That's what I mean. Supposedly, right? Remember the UFO stories that Jackie Gleason was picked up by Nixon one day and shown aliens. Do you remember that story?
Oh, I'd heard about that.
Yeah, he was really good friends. They used to shoot pool together, and one day Nixon shows up, supposedly, picks him up for a ride, takes him to the base, and then he says, "Look, I got to show you this," because he had like one of the biggest. Supposedly, Jackie Gleason had one of the biggest private UFO collection of books and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and look it up. It's really interesting. But
you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is like, I'm sure there's celebrities. With being a celebrity, you have carte blanche to a lot of things, and you have doors open to you all the time, but you're also carrying a certain narrative. And I wonder if like half of them are working for the CIA in that capacity for, the propaganda sector, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
They fit a certain profile. They're a bit narcissistic. They like, the fame, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I totally hear you. And it's very, very possible. And I've listened to some conspiracy guys today who were saying, look, if he was nominated for a Grammy, that means he's part of the system. One of his videos on YouTube has like 300 million hits. That's a lot. And, so he's not small time. And I listened to the track. It was a decent track. The guy's got some skills.
No, but what I'm saying is that the third person who's going to come up, I wonder if it's going to be deliberate.
If the third person is going to be even more tied to it.
Well, that's where I was leading with this. If it's going to be organic, or if it's going to be somebody that they have the controlled opposition, and therefore they're going to feed him the script, and he's already in on it. So he's going to poison the mindset, so to speak.
You might be right. But I still think we've got a few minutes of the break left. I think this thing is going it's going to be, remember how I said this when we started off doing this? This is based, and I'm not trying to scare people in any way in the flat earth movement, but this topic has always been, since the beginning, it has been allowed to happen. Because if you wanted to shut this thing down, if you really wanted to press it, the first thing you would do is you would never, ever, ever make it recommended to you in YouTube. You would never make that an option. You would never make any flat earth thing on the right-hand side of your screen. And I've talked to so many people that said that. It's like, oh, it was all of a sudden just recommended to me on the side of my screen. I wasn't even looking at conspiracies.
All right. So wait, now that we've established that, though, we have to really examine why.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think? Why now? Why the flat earth? I mean, is that going to, like, do they want everybody's attention looking at the flat earth so that they don't see the economy crashing? Like, what's going to happen?
No. Well, okay. We have time. Let's look at it for a little bit. We'll just go into the music runs. Here's what
and when I say this, by the way, before you start,
yeah,
try not to think like an American, and by that I mean consider that there's beyond America, there's still another 7 billion people in the world to consider.
Oh no, I've never really thought just as from a United States point of view when I've looked at this. I've always thought bigger picture.
Yeah,
I mean, I refer to things in American terms, of course.
No, but what I'm saying is that it doesn't really matter to somebody who has a more native or third world country and mentality. It's not going to rock their world. Whereas I think in first world nations, it would really be a stir.
Yeah, but there's a lot of first world-ish nations. There's a lot of industrialized nations out there. Yeah, the third world isn't going to care that much, but did they really care when the new iPhone came out? No.
No, but I'm talking from a control standpoint. I'm saying it's not much to control second and third world country. Well, there's the only second.
Well, second world.
It was only Russia. Yeah, during the Cold War.
That was the Soviet. They're not there anymore.
But no, you know what I'm saying. From a third world standpoint, if your job or your lot in life is to get up, work a farm, or go to a factory 7 days a week,
yeah,
you don't give two shits. Excuse me. You don't care if the world is round or flat.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you have too much time on your hands and you're twitting everything, and you're Facebooking everything, and you know what I'm saying, you live with the problems that we have in first world problems, then it becomes something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, let's be honest here. If the people that are going to care most about this, that are going to, it's really going to, rock their world, is anyone that has been shown the globe. Any nation that has shown the globe as the model to use. And that's really anybody with any sort of modern schooling system.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't necessarily speak for China, but I'm sure they got globes in their classroom, and Russia and India. I'm sure they all do. Now some care less than others, and you're right. Third world countries aren't gonna care as much. But yeah, any industrialized sector, anybody with a schooling system, any country that has a schooling system that goes into college, that has their own bachelor's and master's and PhD's degrees, they're going to be the ones that it's really going to affect the most. So what we'll do is we'll analyze. We'll take this a little further. We're going to analyze this more.
Am I too on fire tonight? I'm sorry. It's been
no. It's nice having you back, man.
All right.
But we'll break this down when we come back from the break, and we'll talk more about what this media explosion means. And it is not ended with B.O.B., not by a long shot. I can guarantee you that. Or Tila Tequila, or even the third person. I mean, this thing is going to, we're reaching that really part, the intro level of the cool stage, is what I like to call it. Now, whether it stays cool or gets ugly. So, anyway, we'll be back after these messages.
Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barnes. Saturday on Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to this strange world. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, and with me is good friend and sometimes psychic, Jonathan from Jersey. How's it going?
Sometimes psychic.
Sometimes psychic.
That's like when somebody says, I'm going to a medium, and I'm like, I don't want a medium. I want a maximum. Like, I've met too many mediums that are like minimums.
Nice.
So sometimes psychic.
Nice. Before we get into some of the mailbag, because I know we're gonna have to get to some of this that was carelessly left open on my secretary's desk. We got to talk about this media explosion thing a little bit more because it's been hyping me up all day. And honestly, the flat Earth community has just been going through the frickin' roof. And I've been watching. Basically, I've had to go in now. There's been so many new players, big, people with big subscription. 500,000, 2 million, 10 million, 12 million. I think was the highest one I saw subscribers. Really high end podcasts. The Young Turks just did a thing on it. And of course they were laughing. That one guy, he bugs me. A lot. The guy, the guy I'm talking about,
the laughter guy.
Yeah, that guy, he doesn't. I don't like him. Anyway, but again, I get upset. My initial reaction is I get upset when they laugh because they all do, because they have to, and that's when I have to keep saying it's like, man, I keep forgetting that I laughed as well. And so when I see all these people come on with big subscription bases, I cut and paste. My standard thing, and I say, thank you for exposing. In fact, I can read it to you real quick. I can tell you exactly. I don't recommend that everybody do this, but this is what I do. I say, thank you for exposing your subscribers to this concept. For those of you new to this, get ready because your world is about to change for real this time. I used to laugh at it until one day I couldn't. If you can look at it for more than 60 seconds, ask yourself this. When did you first find out it was a globe? Because of the model in first grade or because of the one picture you saw in a textbook? Do your own research and ask questions. And that's it. That's all I post. And, I don't generally read the responses, because people just jump all over me. But, they can click on my name, go to the links. And I recommend anyone that sees a high subscription rate of anybody that's going up against Flat Earth, put something in there, on behalf of Flat Earth. Don't yell and scream and be rude. Just put something in there and, let them decide for themselves, because this thing has been organic so far. Somewhat organic. Anyway, so let's talk about the media explosion.
All right.
Which is, started with Tequila, which was kind of a tickler, kind of a teaser. And then B.O.B. comes out and releases a rap song against Neil deGrasse Tyson and the establishment. And basically, you might as well have just called it Flat Earth.
I got to say something, though. I'm wondering if Tequila runs in that circle with B.O.B. and that she caught wind of what was going on and tried to break with it first to get the exclusive.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, he used her lyrics, her voice, and I don't know if she sung or if it was just her lyrics in one of his tracks. Not on this,
so at least they were talking. They're in the same. They must be sharing the same programming, same whatever.
Exactly.
And I'm going out to LA in April after I see you. So hey, if you're listening out there, reach the show and let's do something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because this thing's going to turn into something. Everybody. I mean, no, you don't get a response like this without it being turned into something. Now, whether or not they turn it into a circus sideshow, we'll see.
Right.
But yeah. So did Tila know B.O.B.? Yeah, probably. Now the question is though, who does B.O.B. know? Because if you're nominated for a Grammy, you're going to rub elbows with certain, with others, with producers, with directors, with, and people in different parts of the entertainment industry. So the question is, who else knows about this stuff? All those closet flat earthers that I've talked about, people that just don't want to tell anybody because of this reaction. There was a lot of people condemning him in all the different media outlets. But there are a lot of people who are saying, you know what? I'm not going to make any judgments. We'll just let he and Neil slug it out. So we'll see. But okay, so let's get to this real quick, which is what do we think's going to happen moving forward? Because there's several stages of this. We're now into the introduction into the mainstream media, and it has been thorough and a lot quicker. I mean, I remember we're not even out of January yet. And all of a sudden I see a story, I'm watching a thing on Fox News where a panel is talking about this. I'm looking at the CNN story. I'm looking at, even stuff like Esquire magazine. Of course, MTV and VH1 are going to cover it. But I mean, everybody, NPR is talking, they shouldn't even look at this ever seriously. But they all are. So.
All right, wait, I got something for you.
Yeah.
Now, they're supposedly coming out with an Independence Day too. Did you see the trailer for that?
Oh, yeah, with Jeff Goldblum.
Right, and there's been tons of alien movies and TV shows and everything like that for years now.
Yeah.
Then you had that thing a couple months back with that devil guy, the children's... What was that 3-day miniseries?
Oh, Lucifer?
No, not the Fox show. The other one where the guy comes out of the spaceship and he looks-
Childhood's End.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now and I'm looking at all this and I'm saying that's a lot of predictive programming. That's a lot of, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe they just can't play the space game anymore, like you said, because of the firmament, because of our limitations of,
Yeah.
who knows what.
Yeah.
And this is the only way they can approach this to ease people's mindset into this without people going back crap crazy.
Is okay. The only thing, to counteract, it's kind of like what was it like? To get off Xanax, you're switched over to morphine. The only way you can ease the blow of flat Earth is to stage some sort of. Are we going to say it? Stage some sort of extraterrestrial event?
Isn't that what Ronald Reagan said?
Yeah, he said that in his 1988 speech.
Yeah, I mean that's only a few. Go ahead.
Yeah, where he said, he goes, wouldn't all our problems, would we actually be fighting each other if there was a threat from outside of this world?
And isn't that just a few years before George Bush was like, take 1,000 points of light?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was on September 11th. He gave that speech back in 1990.
Yeah, absolutely right.
You know what I'm saying? So they always put it out there beforehand. I mean, they're not talking to the mass public. They're talking to each other, country to country. I mean, there's
so okay. So let's theorize here. So
no, I'm thinking to myself. There's people in foreign countries, right? And they all have this book and it has code words.
Yeah.
And if he says, like, let's say the president's up there speaking, and the fifth word is something bizarre, like, I don't know, artichoke.
Yeah.
They flip the book, and they're flipping through. It's like, okay, nuclear training disaster in March.
Oh,
you know what I'm
right,
saying? You know what I'm saying?
right.
It's like ixnay on the, anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so if you try to treat it like there is no plan, like there is no plot, and believe me, there is a secondary plan. It's not just that the flat Earth concept is out there; it's being allowed to move forward. The mainstream media would not cover it unless. Remember what the conspiracy guys always say: if it's in the mainstream media, there's an ulterior motive, and there is. There absolutely is in this case. People are saying, "Is this a psyop?" Well. Is it a psyop for what though? That's what no one can really guess. Now they're saying, okay, let's take it organically. Let's say the media starts talking about it, a little bit more, and then the third person or fourth person comes out, and then all of a sudden the media starts looking around. It's like, okay, what's this flat Earth thing? Is this really a concept thing? And then you run into some awkward moments because if the media starts looking into it, eventually politicians are going to look into it because there's military contractors that would be kind of upset if this was actually real. Remember, it's all about the money. And by that, I mean, that would mean that NASA is a fraud from beginning to end. Well, then what about the $1 trillion they've been spending since 1958? If they haven't been spending on, then that's fraud, which means General Dynamics, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, those guys, subcontractors, they're going to want their money back. Mm-hmm. And then the subcontractors through those guys, there's going to be a massive class action lawsuit. So, you're going to have politicians, Senate investigative, committees and big inquiries, and it's going to get ugly real fast, because there's going to be lawyers lining up to do this. That's if it takes the boring route. Because then it's like, okay, NASA lied, and there'd be a ton of finger pointing, and it would take 10 years worth of litigation just to get past the NASA part, and it would be, a horrible travesty, and people wouldn't have that much faith in their governments. Mm-hmm. However, if you want to take a better plot line, and that's, the other plot line is that the government would never let it get that far because you're basically undermining the credibility of the government because NASA's not going to go down by themselves. I mean, yeah, they'd be the sacrificial lamb, no question. But you would have, but they would point fingers at the government and say, well, this politician knew and these guys knew. And, it would get really, really ugly. So do you create something that distracts temporarily from it? And there's only, you and I talked about this, there's only two things that you could use to distract, to divert people away from flat Earth because it's kind of a big concept. One is some sort of, physical world conflict, like a world war. Mm-hmm. Or a terrorist attack that escalates into a world war, or a series of terrorist attacks. But it's all, it's all basically the same thing. A big physical conflict, maybe even like a staged nuclear attack, something like that, or something cooler, something bigger, which would be some sort of staged alien event.
Hmm.
And I also count Planet X. And don't think for a second. Remember that, what was that, Planet Nine they talked about, a week ago?
Oh yeah.
You see that headline? It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, by the way, scientists have mathematically shown there could be a Planet Nine out there that's 10 times bigger than Earth or whatever it is.
Wait a minute. They relegated Pluto to like a nothing, like an asteroid or something at one point, and then they brought Pluto back.
Yeah,
They can never make up their mind.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I don't take them serious.
So, but you're right. That would be, now you could tie that into flat Earth at that point and say, you remember we kind of discussed where an alien ship comes up and then they take credit for the flat Earth.
Mm.
They say, oh, by the way, we were the ones that built it, and you guys weren't supposed to figure it out for a while. And
How about this one? Ready? The Earth is flat. People start losing their crap, right? Everybody's running around like a chicken with their head cut off.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, listen, it's not that bad. You want to know what bad is? You ever see that movie Melancholia? Because that's coming next year. So enjoy the flat Earth. We got to go. And then they all get, they shut down the mics and all go into the deep underground, bunkers.
Yikes! Yeah, don't have people watch Melancholia. I mean, no, I loved Kirsten Dunst in it, and she won
Right.
she won some awards in Europe, didn't win them in the States.
That, by the way, that would be a great trifecta if you want to really spin somebody's head.
Yeah.
Have them watch The Signal, followed by followed by what? Deep Impact.
Oh no! Followed by like Knowing,
Followed by Knowing, and then followed by Melancholy.
that'd be great.
And make sure they take a depressant before they watch.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
And leave a razor on the table.
Yeah, chase it with a bunch of vodka. Oh, absolutely. That's great. That's a great
I mean,
idea.
all those movies are kind of twisted.
Well, let's discuss this real quick, just for a few minutes. And that is, there was something that I had come up with, and you had been toying, you've been kind of hinting at something like this, but you haven't been telling me, and I've been kind of figuring it out on my own, because as you know, I am the opposite of psychic. And that is, I came up with a term for it yesterday.
And I have something to tell you after that. Go ahead.
Okay, which I was trying to look for, because I've noticed it more as the flat Earth, because we're coming up on a year on when this flat Earth thing has really been cranking forward, which I call the instability ratio, and I'll just call it IR for short. But it's basically that there's the whole concept of flat Earth generates a lot of energy. Enough energy that people get angry. They make videos both for and against it. They make rap songs against leading scientists. There's a lot of energy there, and if the energy isn't direct, the energy is unstable in some cases where they don't know where to point it, and so it turns dark, and people get really upset, and sometimes they get burned out. And I see this as sort of a side effect with a small percentage of people in the population. Which could potentially be a bad thing, and I'm just putting that out there to warn people that, look, this concept is not. I'm not saying it's not for everybody. I mean, everybody's going to eventually hear it one way or the other, but you got to remember that some people really, I use the Neo reference, aren't ready to have their world changed, and they don't know what to do with their reaction to it, because it's brand new. This is uncharted territory for most people, because they've never heard this concept. This is something that, yeah, you can try to brace against, but you don't know what you're bracing against.
All right, but wait a minute. Think of the way people frame their mind in terms of directional, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like when you say I'm growing older, they tend to think upward.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm moving forward. They kind of think like linear time. Like even in their mind's eye, maybe it's just in America we read from left to right.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to somebody in that context, it's like, left is the past, middle's and
Sure.
So now when you introduce that the world is flat, you see what I'm saying? Like this is a whole new construct. This is really tough on the mind, because where does that put people in terms of longevity and time and space? And you know what I'm saying? There's no more linear time at that point. Linear time made sense when it went around the world, and the world was like a timepiece, and it rotated on a 24-hour basis, 365 days of the year around the sun.
Yeah.
Now you're saying that it's flat, and that it's more of a mechanical timepiece, almost like the sun and the moon chasing around like dials on a clock.
Yeah.
You know
exactly,
what I'm saying?
like
It's more
dials.
mechanical. Well, it's more mechanical in nature.
Yeah.
And that, you and I might be able to accept it because of our, my video game background, computer background, yours, and the same, and
Yeah.
and we're more open-minded. But man, I feel bad for people like my parents, or people that are brutally Catholic, like, the ones that do rosary and stuff. Like, I don't want to challenge those people's worlds. I don't want to upset their worlds. I want them to be peaceful with what they've believed all this time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And there's a sense, the other part that, again, I feel a little bad for, but it's worth putting the concept out there, and that is, there's a lot of people that don't believe in any conspiracies, and they trust everything. People that it's like the government would never lie to us, corporations would never lie to us, politicians would never lie to us, and then you find out that you've been living on a lie. You've been living on a giant deception, and I've heard this from a lot of people, and that is, it's the tough part, and that is, if they lied about the world, then what is true?
All right, let me tell you what happens. If the truth about the flat earth comes out, I promise you, and I'm saying this right here right now, I will lead the charge personally. I will get people so revved up. There will be no more governments. There will be no more kings and queens. There will be no more IRS. There will be no more. I promise you. You prove the flat earth, and I'll do the rest.
Wow.
I'm being dead serious.
All right.
Because at that point, if everything's a lie, there is no reason to listen to anybody. There is no reason to be told what to do, being under control, under bullshit laws and everything else. Yeah. And you know what? Fuck. I might just do it. I might just do it anyway, Mark.
And what you just said there, right there, because every week I get that question, and that is, why would they hide it? What Jonathan said just there, that's the answer, and that is, if you want to keep control, you've got to have complete power over your domain.
Let me just say one last thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that Jonathan hasn't said and hasn't been this centered and grounded. I could tell you, I could touch on so many topics, but the topic is flat Earth, and that's the focus. If anybody thinks otherwise, Mark, you've been consistent with this from the get-go. It's always been the same. Even if you've repeated yourself ad nauseum on different shows, you're reaching a new audience each time who may have never heard you before.
Yeah.
It's like those forums I told you about, and you go in and you read a topic or you post something, and somebody says, oh, that's old news. Well, guess what? It's old news to you.
Yeah, to you.
But guess what? I've been working 7 days a week, and I only get to read the newspaper on Saturday, so it's relevant.
Yeah.
And you have to keep on repeating the story and getting it out to different people. And like that 100th monkey theory, I'm telling you, regardless, all these other things are going to converge. All these things are happening now. Yeah. People are sick of and tired of being lied to, and the flat Earth is only the beginning.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is the opening to everything else. And people, I don't want to demean other conspiracies, because people, said, oh, this is the pinnacle, the other things are the pinnacle of conspiracies. I'm going, yeah, but they're all underneath the big umbrella conspiracy, which is the world itself. Once you get that one, the rest of them, that's a cakewalk, because you can convince people, you can tell people that you can convince people of any other conspiracy once you get through this one. That's why, Stargott said that, the open-minded test. And that is, you want to test somebody if it's open-minded, forget about everything else, show them this. You can get through. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me say something else, though, too, because I used to get revved up about the trolls and everything else in the forums. They don't affect me anymore. The place that I went to in the past 2 weeks, I don't know if you hear it in my voice, there's no more stammering. There's no more ums and ahs and all that. I know exactly what I need to say. I've always needed to say it. The thing is, I'm not holding back anymore.
Excellent.
And what I'm saying is, all those people that make jokes and stupid comments and everything like that, it's because they're coming from a place of fear. It's like that saying that there's much truth in jest. So people will make a joke out of things so as to deliver the blow lightly. Yeah. It's the same thing that happens when somebody's scared and they'll make a joke like, you're walking down a dark path, or you're walking past a cemetery and you make funny noises or something. You try to, break that with some laughter. Yeah. It's a nervous laughter.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be effing laughing when the truth comes out.
Yeah. You know what? You're absolutely right. You know what I was watching today was the debunkers have changed gears because of what's been happening. It'll happen even more in the next couple of days, which is, beforehand, the debunkers were going after and trying to shut down flat Earth and say, no, here's why it's not flat. Here's why it's not flat. Here's why it's a globe. But now, as of today, they've changed tactics, because they realize that message, that's not going to go anywhere. And that is, if flat Earth is being talked about in Time Magazine and the New York Times and CNN and Fox and basically every publication that's out there right now, then they have to go to their fallback. And that is, okay, if the mainstream media is talking about it, it's got to be a psyop. And that's the only thing left. That is their last stronghold position,
Right.
and they don't know what to do after that. But yeah, they're panicking because what are you going to do? Trying to talk people out of flat Earth at this point,
Yeah.
you're so drowned out by mainstream that no one's going to care. So your only thing is to say, okay, mainstream's in on it, therefore it's got to be a psyop, but you can't tell what the psyop is, and so you don't know, and so now you're just you're taking a guess.
Yeah, and let me just bring some clarity to this so people don't misconstrue or misunderstand me to think that I'm angry and that it warrants physical altercation or violence. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm saying that when the truth gets delivered and it's brought down to every level, to the lay person, right, to the nth degree, and everybody is educated and empowered, none of us will have to do anything single-handedly. None of us will have to revolt. None of us will have to stand together in solidarity. It will be a mindset and an understanding, just like seeing a young child being hurt by somebody. You wouldn't have to question it. You would just act. And that's what's going to happen. People are going to be re-empowered with the truth, and they're just going to act with integrity and remove those who haven't been. Yeah. There's not going to be any of this waiting for somebody else to do it, or, let's organize some petition or something like that. And so I'm telling you, Mark, this thing is going to gain momentum this year. You're going to be seen in the proper light that you have carried this forward. All the other people with egos and things like that wanted to, puff their chest, be king of the flat earth, whatever the hell their title is, president of some club, that doesn't apply here. It's the planet Earth. It's 7 billion of us plus. We're all included in this. We all need to know the truth. That's who it belongs to. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get on a soapbox.
It's cool. No, it's totally cool. And I keep thinking, because people like to see the dark side of things. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, isn't this like when Neo met the architect? And the architect says, look, you do this, you go in and try to mess around with things, we'll shut it all down. And Neo says, no, you need us to survive. And
that's exactly it.
But the architect then says, there are levels of survival we are prepared to deal with. It's like, fine, if we have to, if 6 billion people have to fall just so we retain power, that's the dark side of it. And again, which is why I said, in one of the clues, I said, look, the powers that be, otherwise what I call them the authority, they've got a choice to make. The crossroads is coming soon, heck, maybe even this year, where they've got to decide where they want to take humanity.
Right.
And that is, do you allow this to turn into a new golden age? Potentially. And I'm not saying the kumbaya, hold hands, flat earth friendship thing. I'm talking about a true golden age where if everybody works together, with a common goal, you can do great things, because I think the human race has a lot of potential. Or do they go the other side and say, you know what, we're just going to try to we're going to let the bombs fall and go underground, and when we come up, we'll have enough people that we can rebuild. I hope that's not it, but.
Well, you know what, and this is the thing. How do you get people involved in something like this? You give everybody equal equity. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of causes don't have. They don't give people equity. They want their signature, they want their money, but they don't have a solution at the end of it. Same thing with movies and things like that talk about the environment, that talk about they don't give you a solution at the end. What do I do now? The director never steers you in that direction, because nobody wants to be culpable of what to do now. Yeah. And then when a few people speak out, like somebody put in the chat room, so-and-so told the truth, now he's dead, James Trafficant. It's like, I get it. If you're a whistleblower, you do run that risk of being killed. But guess what? If there's enough people that you're generating this passion in to search the truth, then they cut off one head, guess what? The next head pops up in its place. It's like Spectre. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you keep moving forward until there's blood and guts everywhere, if that's what it takes, if they're going to kill people, whistleblowers. Until it's so apparent that they're not only going to run out of bullets, but they're going to say, this is futile. Before you know it, we're going to kill so many people, there's going to be nobody to collect taxes on. You know what I'm saying? People are just it's going to be futile.
Before we go to break, who's got like a minute and a half, I want to mention this real quick. And that is, if you want to look for a sign, because people are saying, okay, what's going to happen next? Because honestly, I'm not going to say in any shape, way, shape, or form that I am a prophet, because Jonathan's the one with the spidey sense. But I will say this: if you want to look for something that's going to be weird coming down the pipe, that you want to be, you want to start watching the media a little more closely, and that is, if this thing starts spreading, look for the legal side of things. And that is look for the small articles where government contractors start looking into the dealings of NASA. Because, the flat earth movement has talked about NASA so many times that, they've already been thrown under the bus long before this thing hit mainstream. That's what I would look for. Because once you hear whispers of that, then the government has to make a choice. Because I just don't think they're gonna let it get to the point where they'll sacrifice them right then and there. I just can't, because once the proceedings started, you have a little time to play with, but why even let it go that far?
I'll tell you what, though, you take money out of the equation, and I'll take the underdog, the American people and the people of the world over the government with their so-called sophisticated toys and big black budgets. Wow. You take that out of the equation, and I'll show you the difference of spirit versus technology. Okay, it's the same reason people in Vietnam fought so hard and they won. Limited rules, politics, or whatever. Yeah. But I'm saying when you have a certain morale in people or a certain desire, that's what's going to happen. That's society. They determine what happens. When the propaganda matrix and everything else collapses, and like I said, it's over, Mark. This flat Earth is coming. I'm on your team, man. I'm back. I needed a couple weeks to do some things. That was the. We'll talk. We'll talk. Right. I'm back, brother.
Right on, man. We'll be back with Jonathan after this break. Later.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are DFR, your protection from deception.
Welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark, with sometimes psychic and sometimes rabble-rouser Jonathan at my side.
I'm not that bad. I'm just revved up tonight.
I know.
You know what it is? I've been gone for a few weeks, and I saw all the craziness that was going on. The division, I don't know what you call it, reorganization?
No, I call it instability is what I call it.
Okay, that's a nice way of putting it.
Well, I mean, it's true. The energy levels are out there, and people just, they want the world to change now. And I love that enthusiasm. I do, but at the same time, because I felt that way when I first looked at it, I was going, holy smokes, the world is going to change. It's really going to change. But people want it to happen the second they have that aha moment. And unfortunately, the timing, you got to wait. You got to wait until the rest of the population catches up with you. So hang in there. Don't turn on each other. No backbiting. No name calling. Just hang in there. Yeah. We'll get through this.
And you know what it is? You guys too. And I reached out to Patricia over the past few weeks, and it was great speaking with her and a few others. And I really never had the outlet because I've never really committed fully to the flat Earth in that capacity.
Yeah,
I feel like many ways I've been like a confidant, a friend, behind the scenes kind of guy. I did some graphics for you.
Yeah.
So, there's a balance there. And it's like you don't want to get oversaturated. You don't want to put yourself out there. And unfortunately, when you do that, it's much like going to an opera or a Broadway play or anything. The people that get the applause and the roses are the actors, of course.
Yeah.
But nobody ever really says, well, who's that guy who built the set? Or who's that guy who did the lights or the sound?
That's true.
Yeah. And I'm not looking for the kudos. I'm just saying, I support you, but, I work behind the scenes. And
Right on.
I'm ready to step it up this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm in. I'm totally I am all in on this one.
All right.
2016 looks like it's going to be it's going to be epic. That's
Oh,
all
I hate that
I can
word,
say.
but
So-
you know what is appropriate here? It is appropriate.
It is. It's going to be huge. All right, let's do a couple mailbag things because I've been neglecting them because I had the Air Force guy on last week and just if anyone wants to look at testimonials, by the way, any of you debunkers out there, by all means, here's what you have to compete against. Let's see: U.S. Navy missile instructor, U.S. Air Force navigator, Navy submarine chief, Army artillery radar operator, Marine Corps sniper instructor, flight instructor out of Iowa, industrial engineer, career surveyor, international shipping expert, and corporate travel agent. In fact, one of the letters is actually from the international shipping expert because he found some more stuff because he's been asking his people in the Southern Hemisphere. So we'll make sure we talk about that one before we sign off tonight. So, but I'm going to save it till the end, kind of like the news people do.
Okay.
3 household items that can kill you in your sleep after weather and sports. That's the thing that they do, which drives me nuts. Okay, real quick. Matthew writes, "Hey, Mark, I apologize. Like you, I've been avoiding this flat Earth conspiracy, so to speak, for the longest. Even after a few friends asked me to look into it because they know how open-minded I am, and very much awake to so many of the lies and disinformation the government has indoctrinated into our lives. But I've been just recently giving my full attention to this flat Earth theory, and wow, I'm blown away by the amount of information. And your documentary was great. I want to say thank you." And I now see your link on your website, which I'm going to check out. And that was Matthew. Thank you very much, Matthew. Much appreciated. Mel writes, and by the way, you can comment on any of these, Jonathan, if you want. Mark, I've been exploring the flat Earth subject for the last few months. I've been interested in conspiracies of all types, but never the dreaded flat Earth roll eyes to back of head. With your clues videos, I have traversed the subject and become convinced it needs to be researched seriously. You are to be commended for your work. I am retired, now have the time to devote to study. If I may ever be of service to you, please do advise. That's Mel out of Indiana.
And again, real quick,
Mhm.
are there not any independently wealthy billionaires, anybody who could just take a ship and, you know what I'm saying, go explore, go do something?
No, I wouldn't even bother with that. I mean, at this point, why even do it? Because if it keeps going the way it's going, they'll fess up before they even have to defend the boundary of this thing. Before they even have to defend the evidence. That's all they've been gearing up for years and years and years. Didn't think for I mean, yeah, of course they have a contingency plan if the population figured it out on their own. But
Maybe they have set charges and thermite at the foundation of the Earth. They're just going to blow the foundation, the 4 pillars or whatever, and holds it up.
Dude, do you want people to sleep at all? Seriously.
I mean, isn't that how Atlantis went down?
Use the doom. Yeah, fantastic. Really bring that up.
I think it was an energy ray that was shot from Lemuria. Last I heard.
Oh, you're killing me. Just killing me.
No,
It's like,
look,
yes.
every culture. When you look at even in the past, when you hear these stories,
I know.
you've heard about what is it, Egypt or India or somewhere where they talk about finding glass underneath the sand.
Yeah. The vitrified glass and the sunken cities.
No, it's like what the f.
I've talked about it. Yes, none of the previous civilizations are on the surface as we speak. They were all vacated.
So it seems like somewhere along the way, right? I'll just say it, there's an asshole gene in human race, right? And I don't know, but I don't know exponentially where it kicks in. Like everybody talks about the missing link of where we maybe came from monkeys.
Is it possible that the system could be purged? Yes, of course it's possible. And I talked about it in the clues, but it's like, look, aren't you willing to risk it at this point? Because it's not getting any better. Risk the purge. And I'm not saying the movie The Purge.
But what about this? Do you think they're looking to maybe, again, collapse the economy, like default on everything and then reveal the truth?
I don't know. The economy, every time I think they're gonna gut the economy, they don't.
Right.
I mean, I watched it go from 17,000 to 8,000 in 2008, 2009. It was a bloodbath, and it bounced back. And then the stock market was going down recently, and oil was dropped to like $27 a barrel, which is ridiculous. That's not a good sign. Gas is cheap. That is not good, even though your wallet may not be hurting as much. That's a horrible, horrible sign. Anyway, real quick. Vince writes, "Hey, Mark, I attached a picture of a flat comic book I've created, writing and producing. I love your work on the clues. I'm raising a Kickstarter for it. Could use your help. Link to the Kickstarter page is attached." So anyone wants to look up, his name's Vince White. and he's doing a Flat Earth comic book. And I recommend, Vince, that you actually contact BOB, because who knows, he may be into comic books. You're going to have to probably make the hero black, but that's not racist me saying that, by the way.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that he's probably, if he's going to pay for the comic book, if BOB is going to pay for a superhero comic, he's probably going to want it to be his demographic. So be prepared for that, Vince, if you're listening.
Oh, by the way, what do you think of that? Because you own the comic book store.
Oh, a comic book called Flat? I don't know. I mean, the comic book industry's kind of played out, to be honest. I mean, the movies are making a lot of money. But
no, but like when they cast a different actor, whether they're black, Asian, whatever, into an actor.
Oh, you mean how they change that?
Yeah, like if you had Superman, right?
Yeah.
Superman should never be black. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, yeah.
Just like the Incredible Hulk should never be orange, for frick's sake. I mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, in this case, I don't want to get into it too much, but it's they're just going to follow the majority. That's all. They try to be racially diverse and try to and gender diverse, and
I'm not talking about an ethics standpoint. I don't want people to misunderstand me. I'm just saying for the way they were drawn, the way their images, their persona. I mean,
yeah, I know.
If somebody's got freckles and red hair, chances are they're Irish or or Viking or whatever the hell.
Yeah. I'm kind of torn because well, there's my conditioning. All these heroes you're talking about were from the 30s and the 40s, and there wasn't a lot of diversity wasn't really a good word back then, and so I understand why they did it, but I don't know. I don't know if my opinion makes much in that case. Yeah. Let's go on, Sean.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right. Let's see. This one is actually Islamic. Abu Dar Giarfi, one of the Prophet's Muhammad's companions, relates the following. The Prophet said to me, Abu Dar, do you know where the sun goes when it sets? And I said, Allah and his messenger know best. He said, it goes until it prostrates beneath the throne. Then it seeks permission, and permission is granted to it. Soon it will prostrate and will not be accepted from it, and seek permission and will not be granted permission. It will be said to it, go back where you came from. Then it will rise from its setting place. This is Allah's statement, and the sun runs onto its place of settlement. That is the determination of the mighty, the knowing. And I won't be able to quote exactly where that came from. So those of you who know, that's great. But the reason why I read that one is because, again, remember what I said, all tribes, all cultures had their own version of an enclosed flat system. And Islam is no different, the big five, Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity, they all talked about it. So there you go. Yeah. I am not gonna turn down an Islamic letter. I know we're in the United States, and I know there are certain biases, but there's this message is bigger than I hate to say this. I was raised born again Christian, but this message is bigger than just Christianity. You can't exclude people from this message.
No, not at all.
Which is why I don't pick on any groups, and which is why I would think some flat earthers would actually, not pick on any groups. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you got to admit that The Greatest Story Never Told was a good documentary.
Well, it was well made, but I'm not gonna follow the doctrine.
I'm just saying.
All God's children. I'm not judging.
I'm just saying. Somebody put it together for a reason.
Yes, thanks, man. Sally in Falls River Mills, California writes, Mark, holy smokes, this is great. I am waking up. Have you found images of what Earth really looks like from as high as people have gone? What website do you recommend to get a high-quality flat Earth image? The Sabbath school teacher, me, is going to astound her class. Keep up your wonderful presentations. Well, Sally, there's no official photograph of the flat Earth, and if there was, anyone that took it would have been killed. Because it conflicts with the globe model. You can't have a flat Earth picture of the Earth and a globe model picture of the Earth. The two cannot simultaneously exist in the same place, because the power structure can only really, latch onto one, and that's going to be the globe. So, sorry, Sally, there's no picture yet, which is why when people say, show me proof of the flat Earth, it's like, what? This isn't like Bigfoot. It's like, if you don't show me the picture of Bigfoot, you don't have proof. That's not how it works.
No, wait a minute. Can I suggest something to you?
No. Yes. What?
we keep drawing the model of the flat Earth as if it has a dome over it for the firmament.
Yeah.
Correct? So you would think that dome going from edge to edge around the perimeter would extend high enough on an arc, right?
Yeah.
that if you went to that height, you'd be able to see the flat Earth in its totality. However, go ahead.
Well, potentially. If you could get high enough,
right?
If you could only get up at like 500 kilometers, 600 kilometers, you still wouldn't be able to do it. You'd have to get several thousand kilometers up,
almost outside of it.
Almost.
Well, what I'm saying is,
shot out.
Right. So here's what I'm suggesting next.
Yeah.
What if this thing is not, the firmament is not curved the way everybody's been modeling it, right?
Yeah.
Like a contact lens, but in fact is cylindrical, meaning that the walls, just like the ice walls at the Antarctic, they go up straight up, okay? And then there's a flat ceiling across the top.
Oh, like taking a drinking glass and turning it upside down on a coin.
Right. So basically, you can only go so high and not see the full picture of the flat Earth for that reason. So you literally hit a ceiling where it's just like, boom.
That's interesting.
Right?
I like that.
Change that model, and then all of a sudden say, okay, now what?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, because if you're saying that it's on a curve, right, the dome or whatever, the firmament, then at the edge, you should really be like crouching down to get to the very itty bitty edge of. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That curve has to start somewhere. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, it for me, I'm so open when it comes to this because, and I will not lose any sleep if the dome isn't what I thought, or if it's not built the way I was, I thought. Again, it could be a shallow dome. It could be, a high arch like a snow globe. But I still do believe in it, for a bunch of reasons. And one of the biggest is that I don't think we're allowed to leave voluntarily.
Well, I'm saying if that's the case too, I mean, did we establish, or I know I sound naive here, but is the sun and moon underneath with us, or could it be just right outside the firmament?
I haven't gotten to say this in quite a while, but you're doing it again. Because the email I have right in front of me, literally right in front of me.
And you never share your damn emails with me.
I do sometimes. I do.
Not this one. You didn't.
Not this one. You're right. I did not share this one. This one's from Stephen Murphy out of Victoria, Australia, and literally he writes, "If the sun and the moon are inside the sphere, then why can't we visit them? Would it not be possible for NASA to visit the moon if it's inside the bubble, so to speak? I ask this because I have not seen this answered anywhere. Maybe you have a link to something that explains this. If the sun and the moon are inside inside the structure, then, and they're only like, say, 30 to 50 miles wide, then landing on them, how in the world are you going to land on them? They'd be tiny by comparison. You could only land on like the top of the moon, and what are you going to do when you're up there? Yeah, you could probably figure out the structure. Yeah, do I think they probably try to probe it? Yeah, you bet. Especially the moon. Maybe not the sun because it's still pretty hot. But the moon, I think they probably sent a probe up there. The question is, would they be allowed to probe it? If it's a protected structure, you'd probably have some sort of defense mechanism so that you couldn't do anything to the moon. If it was even dimensionally possible, meaning if you're looking at only a projection, then you're not landing on anything. But I still think it's three-dimensional. I think there's something underneath it.
Okay.
So
cool.
So that sort of answers your question. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to say that to you in a while. So Heather writes, "Hey, I've been hearing that many people are reporting loud booms outside, and they are calling the cops, making YouTube videos of the sound, and even the news channels in the areas that are reporting on it. But no logical explanation has been given, as well as no concrete evidence as to what it is. Perhaps the dome is being tampered with or repaired. I listen to videos of the mysterious boom, and that's what it sounds like to me. I will leave a link to the YouTube video of these booms down below. And yeah, you can look these up on YouTube. And I don't know if you've ever watched any of those videos.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
But yeah, even those relate to the flat Earth much better than other things because they're such big sounds. They're gigantically huge sounds, and I don't mean just loud. I mean they're deep. Like you can hear them hundreds of miles away. Mm-hmm. They sound like they're very far away, but it's not like distant thunder. It's way bigger and way more mechanical than that. Like giant doors opening. I mean, you listen to them yourself. They sound like giant versions of commonplace things that you would hear at a factory.
Yeah, some of them are pretty creepy.
Yeah, they're pretty eerie. Like if you can imagine like a factory door that's, I don't know, 100 miles high.
Yeah, exactly.
Opening, and it's sort of rusty. That's the sort of sound you're listening to, and it's freaking eerie. Carl writes, Hey, great video I've just seen on YouTube about the flat Earth. I think you should organize a debate with Jock Fresco. I would be interested to see what he comes back with because he's proved a globe Earth to a religious man by using a balloon and some balls of plastic. Gave the balloon a rub and showed all the balls of whatever it is, polyestyrene, being attracted to the balloon, sticking to it. There are lots of questions unanswered for sure. Have you got any new material coming out soon? Um, as far as debating anybody at this point, I think really I'm only going to be debating anybody with a science background. So they got to have a PhD in something. Astrophysics, astronomy, geology, something. It's got to be a PhD out there that's willing to talk about this. We'll see how that goes. Hey, by the way, can you imagine what the BLB thing has done for all those physicists out there that haven't gotten contacted? There's going to be a lot of emails coming to these guys. Like, is the Earth really flat? Actually, BOB could have really hurt people by saying that, talk to physicists, talk to your university professor.
Here's the thing, though. If anybody wants Neil deGrasse Tyson's job, I mean, now's the time to step up. It's almost like the movie Riddick, right?
Yeah.
Keep what you kill. They could take that.
What you keep what you kill.
Well, no, if anybody wants, really think about it. I mean, this is the topic. If that's the truth, if the flat Earth is the truth, and Neil knows it, then somebody, all they have to do is preempt him.
Yeah.
Right? And now nobody's going to want to listen to him anymore.
No. Good point.
So whoever's listening out there, if you have accreditations and here's your chance to.
Debunkers I don't even want to listen to anymore. I mean, I've brought in 10 different subject matter experts, a bunch half from the military, half from the private sector, and they all, none of them contradict each other. They all, in fact, build on each other's points, and some of them have actually talked to each other.
And by the way, I have no more energy. I gave too much energy in 2015 towards debunkers, playing with them, trolling, feeding the troll zone. It's really embarrassing when you go back and you look at the logs of chat and you see how much these people post. So, it's like being in high school. It's like I'm 40. I'm coming up on 44. Like, who the hell has time to, to spend energy with these people? Like they're.
Well, it doesn't matter now because now, as I talked about at the end of last year, look, the fuses are lit, the core material's out there, and now the mainstream's gotten a hold of it. The debunkers can do nothing at this point. In fact, if they make videos now against flat Earth, I can't even. Why spend the energy now? It's. I'm not going to say it's over, but no one's going to care at this point, because the mainstream's also going to try to debunk it at first. So your debunking opinion compared to, I don't know, the guys that say like the New York Times, your opinion means nothing compared to those guys. And, they're going to try to drag in scientists, and Neil deGrasse, he might as well get a new phone because his phone that he has now, he's never going to shut up. Let's see. Joel writes, hey, I feel silly even writing this email, but I was watching your video on planes and was intrigued, and I thought of an idea. For these flights you mentioned, could you use a tracking device to show where you've been while in flight? It would either help or prove where the plane has gone. Just a thought. Yikes. I thought I just felt an earthquake. Just kidding. I can't even feel the earth spin. So, yeah, Joel, it's a great idea, except the tracking device that you're talking about that actually tracks the flight, it still relies on the same system, which is the GPS system designed by the Department of Defense in the mid-90s, which stands for Global Positioning System. So there is no independent system that you could use to track the flight, short of looking out your window and trying to calculate stuff maybe with a sextant and the stars. You're not going to be able to do anything. Tracking the flight independently is not going to work, which is why this thing, one of the reasons it's been hidden so well over these years. Let's see. Michael writes... No, I'm not going to use Michael. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought I was going to use Michael, but I'm not going to. Roy writes, hey, your show is out of this world. Oh, that's why I call it Strange World. Why don't we triangulate the sun and the moon? Ask me to take a picture of the sun or the moon at a given time and ask some others to do this at the same time at other locations. This would give us some references. I am in Sweden. Roy. We're working on it, Roy. Honestly, but at this stage of the game, I'm going to really be doing my best to either debate, talk to subject matter experts, or try to manipulate the media into doing what we want. Because right now they seem to be doing everything. Clayton writes, you're going to love this one, Jonathan. So, because, I've been accused of trying to hypnotize people with my voice.
Right.
So he sends me a channel. He goes, here's a great ASMR channel, amazing voice. She's the female Bob Ross, Bob Ross from public television, right? And it's called Springbok, Springbok. And I'll be darned, I listened to her. Now, she didn't necessarily give me the tingles. It takes I'm kind of picky when it comes to female ASMR, but it's pretty good. It's still pretty good. She's kind of got like a high lilting type of voice, but it's kind of cool. So yeah, anyone that wants to know, and she actually deliberately calls her channel an ASMR channel. So if you want to see true ASMR, go there and check it out. I am not doing it deliberately. It's just something that I was born with. So call it what it is. Jonathan doesn't get many tingles when we're talking. So as far as I know. All right, he does, but we're not supposed to talk about it. Let's see. Can't help but notice all the affront towards flat earthers. It's crazy the number of anti-flat earth videos coming out over the last week or so. Looks like they had a meeting and said, we need a big push against FE. I say if it's not true, what's the big deal? I get that it's a passionate subject, but come on, this is crazy. No flat earther has ever pushed any belief. We simply make videos and post them to YouTube. If you're not into our findings, then move on. Why do you care so much? They care because flat earth has the power to take down the control structure and change one's paradigm way beyond the comfort zone of most. Just a thought, but if one gets really into flat earth, they will realize it has little to do with the actual shape of the earth, even though that's a really neat observation. In actuality, it is the best tool and the only tool that could remove the control structure that enslaves us all. Flat earth shows anyone willing to give it a look with an open mind just how much we've been lied to. When flat earth reaches critical mass, and it will, every person will simultaneously stop paying attention. Wow, did you write this? To our controllers, because how could you, after all the lies? Their power is the only as real as we believe it is.
Thank you.
How ironic, because several of the trolls out there are hardcore conspiracy theorists who think we have rained on their parade. How short-sighted of them not to see the awesome power of flat earth. Described. We are never going to stop talking about flat earth. Best John McCaffrey. Absolutely right.
You've seen the movie Ants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Right on. the true power. I'm sorry, I got to read that line again. How short is the awesome power of the FE? I keep the awesome power of this now fully functional and operational Death Star. Remember that was from Return of the Jedi. This is the third Star Wars movie.
Was that Captain Akbar?
No. It's a trap. I can't repel firepower of this magnitude. No. That's Akbar, General Akbar.
Yeah.
Joe. No, I was talking about the Emperor.
Oh.
He goes, now witness the awesome power. Oh, God, some Star Wars person would say, he didn't say awesome. I think he was awesome, though. Or maybe it was just power. I don't know. When we come back from break, Jonathan and I are going to be talking more about flat earth and what it means to us and all good things. So be right back.
It seems to me so strange. Check wallet for his name. His face is in the muck. I think his zipper's stuck.
X Squared with Brooks Agnew. Sundays on Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, the final segment with me, Mark, your host, and Jonathan, the instigator, and the guy that's going to lead the pitchforks and the torches through the streets. And that was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album Night and Day. Okay, let's get back to it. Let's see, because I get some of the coolest emails, like this one here. Hey, my name is Negota Cyprian. I've just seen a big part of your clip on YouTube. I am from Romania. This thing with the flat earth is solving some thoughts I had. I read the first book of the Bible and I can understand it now, but I am more afraid of my bad deeds. Your clip is great. Any news? Maybe some astronaut took a picture of the flat earth. You're okay? Greetings from beautiful Romania. Bye. See you in heaven.
Wow.
I know, right?
He used all his English.
He didn't really screw up. So, hey, thank you. And yeah, what caught me was that little thing in the middle, but I'm more afraid of my bad deeds. Heck, I remember back in like May of last year, I had a Satanist cry on me when I was talking to him, because, when he finally got it, he was a Satanist. And he had apparently done some things he was kind of guilty about. And he called and he was a wreck. And I didn't know what to tell him. It's like, look, man, you might be okay. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the rules are.
It's almost as bad as when the comedian cried to Moloch.
See, you're going to throw out a Watchmen reference like that, and it takes me a while.
Sorry.
That's all right. And Moloch was played by?
Max Headroom.
Yeah, Max Headroom.
Told me that.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. Frederick writes, hey, Mark, great work. Can't believe people expect you to prove this in 1 year. Bastards. Anyway, Operation Fishbowl. They were using Thor missiles, as in a hammer. And in Norse mythology, the Earth is surrounded by a serpent that guards Midgard by encircling the Earth, biting its own tail. Obviously, symbolism there. An etheric barrier with an Ouroboros as some sort of Earth quarantine is quite a persistent occult topic. Also, consider that the Nazi UFO prototypes were said to be called Odin. Actually, Vril 6 Odin, the father of Thor. Operation Paperclip and the rockets launching into Fishbowl are called Thor. Also, here's the article in the Dome in Japanese folklore you might like. Peace, Frederick. And they didn't send me the link. So nice going, Frederick. Way to botch up that email. All right. And then he said, I'm sorry, the very next email, he said, sorry, here's the article.
You get such a kick out of these mailbags. I love it.
I do. Well, and I have to filter. I mean, this is the one I keep. I get a lot of crappy ones too. Kelly writes, hey, I had an idea. I don't know if anyone's tried yet on the flights that have weird connections that seem to take you out of your way on a globe but look like a straight shot on the flat map. Could someone take an old handheld compass and plot their flight direction and any changes during the flight for all legs, then compare the flight directions to the map and see what makes the most sense? We have a relative moving from Honolulu to Saudi Arabia next month. I haven't looked at that flight yet, but if it's a weird one, I could always have her try it. Thanks, Kelly. See, Kelly's using her noodle right there. Not going with the electronics, trying to go with the manual stuff. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I won't read about Kelly trying to cross Antarctica anytime soon.
Right.
Jeff Young writes, you remember Jeff Young, the ex-guitarist from Mega.
I think he just subscribed to me the other day.
Did he?
So, hello, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, if you're listening, from Megadeth. Love him. Sherry's dog is obsessed with Frisbees. Wondering where we can get him a flat Earth version. Thanks. Hope all is well. Anyone wants a flat Earth Frisbee, just look up online. I think it's a Kickstarter campaign. Remember the guy that sent us the flat Earth Frisbees? He's out your way. He's like
Long Island or something? Or
Staten Island. So yeah, just look up flat Earth Frisbees, sale, Kickstarter. You'll see them. They're little blue Frisbees with white graphics. Right. Anyone can get them. Don't ask me for the. I mean, yeah, I've got 3 or 4 here, but I'm not. I'm keeping them for special people like you. If you ever go, except you already got one. All right. Question for a theoretical physicist: have you ever asked a question to any physicist about a starship approaching Earth? I just called and left a message on your phone. I think I'm going to ask this question to a local theoretical physicist, but wanted to run it by you first. I know you're not a physicist, but I think you can understand why I would want to ask you. Theoretically, if a starship is approaching Earth from outside the solar system while the whole system is moving at 500,000 miles an hour, if it gets into the system without being ripped apart, then has to keep up with the 66,000 miles an hour movement of the Earth, as well as a 1,000 mile an hour axial spin. Does this ship have to be moving 66,000 miles an hour on landing? Now that I'm typing this up, I have other questions. Do you think a theoretical physicist will entertain this? Is there a simple answer that I'm missing? Any thoughts would be good. Thanks, man. Well, yeah, he does have to eventually be going. He's got to time it to where basically the Earth's got to be passing in front of him, and then he's kind of got to pull alongside it. The question is when, does he? Yeah, yeah. So no, there's not a simple answer to this because there's a lot of physics involved. So if you believe that they went to the moon and back and dealt with all that fun speed that's going all over the place, let alone a mission to Mars. Mars is a whole nother ball game when it comes to all the physics involved. No, they can't do it. They never could do it, and they're not going to do it. And I challenge anyone, including Neil deGrasse Tyson, who will not, talk to me, even though he'll make a song and tweet a rapper. Fine, I have to be nominated for a Grammy to actually get to talk to him. It's kind of elitist, don't you think, Neil? Just saying. Okay. Let's see here. John Carr writes, don't let me forget. I want to talk about that guy, the international shipping expert.
Yeah.
He goes, you got to see this. I was watching the launch today of the SpaceX spacecraft. This was back on the 17th. Was headed south to insert a satellite into the North Polar orbit. It got to South America and turned east and did not go over Antarctica. Here are screenshots. Hopefully they will rebroadcast this. And yeah, the screenshot showed that for whatever reason, even though it was going to do a polar orbit, it didn't go over Antarctica, which was interesting. SpaceX, what are you hiding? The public has a right to know. The Sunday Express article, I don't even know if people care now because of the whole Bob thing, but I was in that UK article. Flat Earth News, thousands believe madcap theory, world is really a dome top disk. I was actually mentioned in that article. And it was actually number one if you typed in Flat Earth into news and search engines actually showed up. But then BOB screwed it up. And now if you want to get in there, I don't even know what's going to, we'll see what the next headline is going to be. You can't wait to see who is it going to be? Gerald writes, hey, Mark, please explain how our satellites can orbit a flat Earth. Your non-judgmental approach to truth is the cause of growing success. Stay true, Jerry. Yeah, Jerry, who told you there were satellites to begin with? The same people that told you that there were, went to the moon? Those guys? Ask yourself when the term satellite was put into the brains of everybody. Was it when Sputnik was put up there by the Russians? And then we all of a sudden looked up and we saw a light that was passing overhead. We passed that down from generation to generation. Granted, it was only a couple of generations ago. We told our kids, oh yeah, if you see a light traveling overhead in the sky, that's a satellite. And we've all been told that by our parents, and we've told that to kids.
Right.
Except I don't have kids, so I have to tell them to strangers' kids, and that's just strange. So, but yeah, there's no satellites up there. You can't orbit a flat Earth. If it is, they're hovering maybe, but they're not orbiting anything, in my opinion. So, Nate writes, what? Oh yeah, this is a good argument. I like this. I have been trained and certified to be a police officer, having taken all the skills training courses and statutes classes required in the state of Minnesota. During my class in criminal process, we learned one very important thing about making a case in a courtroom. It's not about the proof, it's about the evidence. It's not about what's possible, since theoretically anything is possible. It's about what is most reasonable. Proof is a sketchy idea. What may be proof enough for someone may not be for someone else. Seems a bit subjective, actually. However, evidence is purely objective. A jury is given the facts in the case and is asked to make their decision based on the preponderance of evidence, not the preponderance of proof. So the question is, which side has the best evidence, even though the burden of proof is on the globe earthers? I've also heard some trolls recently banging on the show me the proof drums. Even Tiger Dan seems to be echoing their chants. Remember, it's not about the proof, it's about the evidence and what is most reasonable once taken into account. But remember, we in the Flat Earth community are also still waiting for theirs. Nate, Minneapolis. And so thank you, Nate. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, the burden of proof is on the globe model. Absolutely. They've had 500 years. They should have mountains of evidence. And if anyone's listening to this for the first time and you don't know what I'm talking about, there should be thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures of the full Earth in sunlight. There are not. There was only one until the middle of last year. Find me a video of the Earth turning on its axis from space, which isn't the 1990 Galileo footage. Why was there nothing taken before Galileo, and why has there been nothing taken after Galileo? And why did NASA disavow that footage? there's so many things that aren't there. Where are the telemetry tapes for the all the Apollo program? Where are the Saturn V blueprints? Where's any footage of any astronaut in an exterior shot doing a 180? It just goes on and on and on. Where's all the radiation specs on the Van Allen belts? Don't tell me there's Van Allen belts. Tell me how many rads and what type of radiation is involved in the Van Allen belts. Nobody knows. And we remember I talked to a nuclear physicist. Guy specializes in some form of radiation. Granted, he did in the 60s when it was in its infancy, but he couldn't even describe what was deadly about the Van Allen belts. But I could go on, and I'm not going to. Sorry. This one's from DC Gloria, and she wrote something nice. She said, "Stay warm, stay safe. Hope to talk to you later. Love is infinite, and I found it throughout a lifetime journey here, which is rich in limitations, and it turned out fine. Life is eternal, and to be fully alive, I will, through countless unexpected events, also betrayal. As long as life is being generous to remind me that I am not alone towards the eternity, I choose to leave the unpleasant feelings, and life eventually let me experience what I deserve as usual." And that was from DC Gloria. She sends positive messages every once in a while. I decided, throw a light one in there. Let's see here. Here's one from someone I'm not supposed to name, and you know who you are. We'll just call him M. Mark, Matt's most recent video makes sense when he stresses where the footage of Earth is from space. He's talking about the Matt Boylan's video, where he actually did one that was actually less than 30 minutes long. It was only like 9 minutes long. It was pretty good. Tiger Dan was mocking the Morgile for starting a petition for opening up the Antarctic. It may be easier to petition your local federal officials, like those sitting in the committee that funds NASA, or to ask a non-CGI actual footage of the Earth in its total global form from space to help ward off all the criticism they are getting. I wonder if Tiger Dan's top 10 is going to save the best for last, like the comic Dave Letterman used to do. I always wondered why Tiger Dan had trepidation to appear on your show. Now I wished more than ever that he would come on and you could question him in your usual peaceful manner about the many points he leaves unanswered. Somebody mentioned that Mercury in retrograde may be affecting Tiger Dan more than the average person. If that is true, wait until Mercury is no longer in this position. Thank you, M. And yeah, we'll see. Tiger Dan's, you know what's going on with Tiger Dan. He's supposed to do a 10-part series, and he hasn't even released part 6 yet. He seems to be stalling because he's supposed to deal with the Bible, and he gets to part 7, and that's going to be unpleasant because then he's going to go against the Bible. I just don't know how he's going to pull that off. So
I don't understand all the drama. It should be so simple.
I know. Well, it doesn't matter now. All the drama that I had to deal with and everybody else had to deal with over this last week, that changed today. Because all your noise, all the little squeaks that everybody was making means nothing in comparison. You get the full power of the mass media. Witness what it can do. It just enveloped the internet today, and the airwaves and every place. Everybody was talking about this thing simultaneously. So
now, how does that actually look? Critical mass takes over.
Yeah.
And so now the people believe that the Earth is flat, and they don't care what the narrative is that's given.
Yeah.
So how does that look?
I don't know.
Does it happen overnight? Is it a buzz or is it a murmur?
No, it's a buzz. It's a loud buzz, and it's something that people end up talking to each other in coffee shops and water coolers. And
what did you hear the Earth is flat?
Exactly. Yeah. Did you read this? Yeah. Where people basically that aren't shy anymore about showing it to their friends, because once it's in the mainstream media, they can say, yeah, that's where it starts to change, because now it's like, look, this is Time magazine. If you can show it from credible sources. Again, that one, my friend, my psychologist friend, who just buzzed me, who said, she's at a wine bar and she's talking about it with friends. And she reached out to me saying, do you have anything to do with this? It's like, yeah, you know what I'm involved with.
Did she put you on speakerphone for you to educate everybody?
No, but you could tell that she was going to be relaying everything as soon as she hung up, and she totally thinks everything I do is hilarious. Because again, she is a PhD, she's a clinical psychologist, and an ex-girlfriend, and so she She just thinks, yeah. She initially, just laughed and laughed, and because she kept joking because she goes, PhDs do everything to get published and get interviewed, and I've done more interviews just on this silly topic than all of her friends and combined. And it's about a topic that should be absolutely ridiculous. So,
And by the way, can I just give a shout out to somebody?
yeah, go ahead.
Because I do get people, and that's why I stopped in tonight, because people did write me finally and say, "Where are you? Where are you?"
Yeah.
Caleb Hobbs. He's been a really good fan. I hate to say the word fan, but
That's it. Sorry.
Stephen from Australia. There's a couple of you. Yeah, I'm back.
Right on.
Unofficially official. Is it official? Am I back, Mark?
I think you're back.
All right.
You better be back because I'm going to need help if this thing goes to the next level.
Like John Wick.
There you go.
People keep asking me if I'm back, and you know what? I'm starting to think, yeah, I'm back.
Anyone who hasn't seen John Wick with Keanu Reeves, it's a great little dark horse flick.
Great movie.
Yeah, great flick. It's not for the faint of heart though. It is violent, extremely.
No, but it's over the top. It's
Yeah.
a cool flick.
Yeah, and he uses all his Matrix skills, which is great. All his Matrix skills from the first movie where he was shooting a lot of people.
I think that movie's his best, actually.
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah, I really like it. Muhammad writes, he calls me his new Arabic friend. I'm not going to turn that down. I have Arabic friends. Hey, Mark, hope this email finds you well. I knew that you will respond. I knew that if you respond to my email, that's why you were the first and only one I wrote until now, but I didn't expect it would be that fast. For that, I thank you and highly appreciate it. It meant so much. I would be more than honored if you read my email. And since I know for sure by now that my emails will be taken serious and with respect, as you did, I will share with you some of my some of my insights and takes for our main topic and others as well. And by that, I don't mean forcing my beliefs, not at all, but let's say adding a new perspective from the other part of the world. Life is a journey to find the truth. Again, I thank you, Mark. Wish you nothing but the best. Your new Arab friend, Muhammad Salama. So
Cool.
And I don't think I actually have gotten a follow-up yet to tell me what his cool ideas were going to be. Oh, he's probably waiting for me to read it on the air. So yeah, send me what you got now. Sorry it took so long. Let's see, I got a few more. Marcus writes, Dear Mark, I am taking the liberty of emailing you as you encouraged. I have been looking into all of this for the last 2 weeks. A good friend sheepishly suggested that I might want to have a peek at the possibility, and I thought, oh dear. Well, I've been having great difficulty in finding any evidence for a globe sense. In my professional work, I use surveying and levels. I even once checked a body of water for level and assumed there should be some indication of roundness. I did wonder why it wasn't there. I've always wondered about the pole star and the plane problem, so it is becoming inevitable that I am admitting the truth to myself. It may be a while before I come out of the closet, so to speak. Great info, well done, and thank you. Friendly regards, Marcus. And don't worry, again, this whole thing with the mainstream media, people coming out of the closet, it's going to just happen more and more because you're just going to basically everyone's going to take their favorite publication or, news media outlet, and that's what they're going to use. It's like, well, if my magazine is talking about it, then it can't be a bad thing. Or if I know this guy reads like Newsweek, I don't think, is Newsweek even around anymore? We'll just choose Time Magazine. If I know this guy reads Time Magazine, I'm going to point him in this article because how are you going to make fun of it? Your guy, it's right there. So, I got time for a few more. Mark, I was thinking about the dome and the Earth. If a sphere planet has flaws, could a planet as we know it evolve life? Are all the stars we see just for our amusement? Outside the dome, maybe something completely beyond our imagination and comprehension. Whoever built this, they didn't wing it as they went along. We will only find out what they want us to. Finding this out has given me no real pleasure. Being 61 years old, I find out everything I believed in is a lie. Thank you, Steve Ford, platoon leader and flag holder in the Sargent Brigade. Nice. Thank you. That's great. It's you're absolutely right. It feels like there's a bigger plan at work here. Not just the authority, but maybe the creators themselves. Is there a chance that this world wants to be seen? It wants to be discovered? And I believe it. I do. I think it's part of the evolution of the planet, not your standard definition of evolution. I mean the evolution of us as a civilization. And I think that that's what we're moving towards, and I think it's part of the system, and it was inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. Flat Earth Band. Let's do that one real quick. Hey, Mark, wasn't sure if you ever listened to Death Cab for Cutie. A couple other videos subliminally reference the flat Earth. It could just be a coincidence that their words like flatter, perspective, and reflection often, but they also show a lot of flat horizons. So the band is called Death Cab for Cutie. Terrible name, but you know what? I had to mention them. Let's see here. There's a couple other was it Jeff Young? Oh yeah, I got to mention this real quick. After this, I'll mention the flight guy because we're running out of time. So Jeff Young, the ex guitar player for Megadeth, right? Is that right? Yeah. He there's a new band emerging on the scene. You may want to check it out. It's called, and I couldn't make this up if I tried, Flat Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh my God.
So just go to flatearthwindandfire.com and you will see it. So thank you, Jeff, very much for mentioning that. It looks very cool. And you know what? If this thing takes off, it could be one of those hot new bands. So super great. Let's see. There was a guy that I wanted to read. Aha, here it is. Okay, so this is the international trace agent, the guy, the international shipping expert. And he goes, hope you're doing okay. I didn't want to miss this one. I have for you, people write this down if you get a chance, more routes apart from the ones that go from the States all the way up to Anchorage, Alaska, and then Asia and the South Pacific. He's basically saying that anything gets shipped from the western part of the United States, they always go to Anchorage first and then go to anywhere in South Asia. And on a round map, it goes sort of by Alaska, but on a flat map, it goes literally right over it. You don't have to deviate even a little bit, right? So he goes, I'm talking to an agent in Argentina, one of his guys. I ask him if he can tell me the route a plane takes if it has to go to Australia. He stated that all shipments that come out of South America have to stop in Memphis, Tennessee, or Miami, then Memphis, and then the normal route towards Alaska, the Philippines, then Australia. This makes no sense unless you see it on a flat map. Then I asked him, what about shipments that go to Africa? He stated that all go to Memphis, then Europe, France, then Dubai, which is the same route if it comes just from the States, and then whatever country in Africa. Bottom line, no flight goes straight from South America to Australia or to Africa. They all come to the United States, and then it's almost a straight shot wherever you want to go. Take care. And by the way, if you think this is a small carrier, it is not. It is probably the biggest international carrier in the world. I'm not going to tell you the name. You can just take a guess, but I absolutely know this is legit.
Did he supply you with any graphics that show that, what he's explaining?
No. Well, no, because he just rattled them off. So
right.
If anyone's listening, please by all means take a quick look at them. So thank you very much, international shipping expert. So with that, let's kind of wrap this one up because we're going to be closing this down in a couple minutes. So thank you very much for coming on. Do you got any parting shots before we see? Because it's going to be a week. Who knows what's going to happen in a week? Between now and then, do you have any predictions?
Not just yet. I'm interested with your angle with the third person to show up.
I think the third person might show up before the next show.
Really, that soon?
I can't imagine they're gonna because there's an old Russian saying, and then it's strike when the iron is hot, and any celebrity is going to realize how much attention he generated with just saying two words. And the two magic words, which they never even knew existed. And I think somebody's going to, whether or not it's the official third person or it's just a proxy, I think somebody else is going to jump on his side. Now, whether it's someone from his circles or someone, in a slightly related field, I don't know. But that would be my bold prediction. My bold prediction is someone the third person will show up before the next show. But it may not, it may absorb for a while. Who knows? This rap battle between he and Neil might escalate. And if it does escalate, maybe the third person will have to stall. But that's my guess. So anyway, thank you everyone that has written to this, and I think we had a fun show. And I know we didn't take calls. Maybe we'll take calls next week. Sorry, but there was just way too much to cover with the with all the media explosion. And so you're with me next week? You're going to be here?
I'll be here.
Right on. Very excited. So everybody, this is the last show for January of 2016. It's been a huge one. And, it would be February when we talk to you next. And so, yeah, get ready because 2016 Flat Earth, it's going to be huge. It's going to be productive. And I'm hoping that it will be it'll be peaceful. It won't be with a lot of collateral damage. Because there's going to be a lot of people excited, but there's also going to be a lot of people that'll feel betrayed as this thing spreads. So, anyway, thanks, man. See you next time.
You're welcome, buddy. See you soon.
Now everybody try to